We sat facing the commander in silence. We knew he wanted to help, but still the feeling of being sat in front of the headmaster pervaded the atmosphere.
"If it's about smoking in a war zone, I'm snitching on you, Paul,"
Marie said out of the side of her mouth. The commander addressed one of his bodyguards, who immediately turned and raced out of the room. He then turned his attention on us. "Please wait," said the burly figure dressed in combat fatigues. "We have a man who talks perfect English. He will come now. My job is to get food and medicine into Baba Amr, and to get very sick people out. Please tell me why you want to go there, but wait until our translator arrives. It's not just your English I don't understand." The town of Al-Buwaida, where we'd stopped, was typical of most rural villages in the area. Religiously, it was Sunni, but physically, it was almost identical to most rural villages in the area. Small and dominated by single-story cement-constructed houses that were built in a maze of small alleyways and obscure cul-de-sacs. The town was poor, and life here appeared to have suffered since the start of the revolution. A shell hole there, a crater here, proved that the place hadn't escaped President Assad's notice. If the guns were turned on this town in full, however, then there would be little anyone could do. Al-Buwaida was built on an open plain. There were already shells falling here, and there would be nowhere to hide once they began to fall in earnest. Marie was light-hearted and in good spirits. Her mood since we'd arrived at the house in Al-Buwaida had been bright and optimistic, and she took the break in the stressful journey as a chance to unwind. "Hey, Paul, remember looking for Gaddafi's body in the desert?" she asked, laughing her familiar deep chuckle. The rest of the room, mainly bodyguards who spoke a little English, swiveled to face us as she continued. "Didn't the picture editors ask you to get a photo of Gaddafi's unmarked grave in the desert?" I grinned at the memory. "Yep," I replied. "An unmarked grave in the desert. I remember I was tempted to photograph the hotel garden." October 23, 2011. Misrata, Libya. Libyan rebels captured and killed Colonel Gaddafi on October 20, 2011. A few days later, Marie and I were asked to track down the site of the mad dictator's secret burial spot. We had a serious advantage over all the other grave-seekers. We knew the man who had buried Gaddafi. Salah, a 40-year-old lightly bearded rebel commander, who was lauded as one of the Libyan revolution's legends for his fierce courage and skillful leadership, appeared happy to see us again when we walked into his headquarters in the port city of Misrata. After an hour of chat, Marie popped the big question. "So, where did you bury Gaddafi? Can you tell us, Salah?" she asked, hopefully. Salah, as we knew, had sworn on the Quran that he would never reveal his secret. Obviously wanting to help, but being unable to tell us directly, he simply smiled back at Marie. "You have been there before," he said mysteriously. "I took you there when we were fighting. The place with the tents on the ridge, about 50 kilometers south of the city, in the desert. You came along with me, remember?" My heart sank. Salah was actually telling us the place where Gaddafi was buried. Marie was smiling, but I could read her mind. She had absolutely no clue where he was talking about. Salah could be telling us the location of the lost city of Atlantis, and we still wouldn't have found it, even if we'd already been there. Marie looked at me. I grimaced back and mouthed the word, "more," at her. Salah, unaware of Marie's total lack of a sense of direction, thought that he'd just given us the location of the grave while still keeping his holy vow. Despite Marie's best efforts to wrestle more information from him, Salah wouldn't be pushed any further. So the next day we rented a 4x4 and a driver. I'd scanned through Google Earth the previous evening, looking for anywhere 50 kilometers south of Misrata that could be the sort of place where one would bury the body of a dead tyrant. We spent the next 3 days in the scorching desert heat, searching out possible grave sites. At one point, I found myself kneeling on the ground, examining piles of stone to see if any vehicles had driven over them recently. Needless to say, the whole mission was a failure. Our driver rebelled and refused to do any more of this stupid desert driving, and in the end, we had to settle for a picture of Marie looking pensively out over the desert at dawn, a symbol of our fruitless search. It was the only picture of mine that the newspaper printed that week. February 5th.